Hello again folks, Giga here. Welcome to episode 5 of my little Let's Play series. At least I think it's episode 5, it could be episode 6, I'm not really sure right now, because I've got a stinking cold and my head is doing strange things. So, what are we working on today? We're working on an elevator. Now, I've gone through a few iterations of this elevator before. You might have seen one on my channel previously. The big problem we've got, and I only noticed this after I'd started working on this last episode, is that the plan I had needed ender pearls, and as you can see we've got, well, none. So we're going to have to do this a different way. Well, I was going to use redstone logic, but it also means we're going to have to use redstone wires as well. So I spent the last 3-4 something hours getting parts. Alloyed wire, cables, bundled cable. This stuff's a pain to make. It requires a lot of string and a lot of wool. So we added an extra room for wool. Just temporarily. Although it may be more permanent than I think. I delved into a little bit of Thorncraft to stop the little bastards getting out because they were everywhere. That's a random chicken hat. But our cotton seeds up on the surface just weren't cutting it. So I had to add these in and just supply us with some extra bit of wool, which we now have plenty of. And we'll be using those cows for probably milk later, which will be nice. But in the meantime, I've got my box here with all my ingredients. And these 3 blocks, which will be important later on. Here. So it's just a case of putting all these together and hoping it works. So, some things you wouldn't have seen before. Detector player and detector any. Now these are from Railcarts and they allow you to obviously detect whether something's passing over a rail. For example, detector player will detect and trigger a redstone signal if there is a player in a minecart above it. So if I place my track and I place a minecart, which I haven't actually made yet. Ding. Let's get on with that. Wow. So yeah, if there was a detector any underneath this, it would be sending out a redstone signal. Whereas detector player would not, because there's no player in the minecart. And this time both would be active because there's now a player in the minecart and it's detecting a minecart itself. You get the gist of it? Pan. So it's just a case of putting all this together, and behind the scenes we're going to use lots and lots and lots of cable. All the cable. In fact, I might even need a little bit more cable because reasons. So how does this work? This elevator track, whenever you apply a redstone signal to it on a certain level, it lights up. And as long as that redstone signal persists, any minecart that touches the rail will go up to the point where the redstone signal stops. And you notice that if I put a signal here, it actually lights 1 block above the button. So our button actually needs to be down here somewhere, or our redstone signal at least. So we get the fun and games of working out how to sort that. So let's start on the surface first, because this is going to be the most complex part, because there's not a lot of room to work up here. You know, we've got this very, very small area. So how do we do it? Well, ideally, I've made a space here, as you can see. I'd like our buttons to go here. And I've made some concrete to make them stand out. So what these are going to do is these are going to send individual redstone signals. One will be a call button to bring the minecart back up. One will be the basement 1, which is our main area. And one will be basement 2, which is Paul's Thorncraft lab. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a buffer stop track, probably about here. We're going to have our launcher here. And I'm going to need a crowbar to give this a whack. It will turn a corner, which is why I've got this track here, at which point there will be a loader and unloader. Now, what do these do? The embarking track, whenever a minecart goes over it and it detects something, or it gets a redstone signal, it will suck in a player from the nearby 2x2 radius straight onto the minecart, at which point the minecart will go down the elevator. The disembarking track, it does the opposite. You see this little arrow, this redstone arrow? It will spit out a player in a minecart in that direction. So if I'm on a minecart and I come onto this, it will plonk me here. So we'll reverse that and send it over this side in a minute. But how do we get these things to detect? Well, come back here. I'll go get that in a minute. Well, this is why we've got our detectors. So the first one we want to use is our detector player to detect when the player wants to be dismounted. And then we want our detector any to detect when a player actually wants to get sent down. So we want our disembarking track here and our embarking track here. And then I'll go get a crowbar. So let's go and get that last piece, and we'll start working on the actual redstone behind it. While we're down here, let's I haven't got my hatchet with me, so we'll just break these by hand first. Paul might be annoyed at me by breaking his blocks, but I'm sure he'll live. So, detector any for the loader, and detector player for the unloader. Now, there's a reason we're having the unloader behind the loader. If a player comes down, it will trigger the loader first, which won't do anything, and then the unloader. If a player's going up, it will trigger the unloader first, and then the loader. If the player's going up, he won't need to be unloaded, so that's irrelevant, but he'll get sucked into the minecart and sent up. Whereas if he's coming down, he won't be able to be loaded again, but he'll be unloaded instead. There's a reason they're in this order. So we'll have our locking track, embarking track, disembarking track, and then our buffer stop track. And yeah, Paul's going to be really annoyed at me. And of course, our buttons for here, this is going to be slightly different. We're going to place them on the wall like that. There's our call button. We want to go to basement 1 and the surface. And I've got some grimstone here. Make them stand out. And we'll do the wiring behind the scenes in a minute. Finally, once again, we want to break these two. We want our detector player and our detector any. Embarking track. Whoops. Disembarking track. Buffer stop track. And our locking track. Button, button, button. Click. And I was going to use future blocks for these because they stand out. Right. To make a crowbar, we need 4 diet, I believe, and we need 3 iron, something like that. Aha! Drink. Now we want to send this to a launch track, boarding mode, and you notice it's got an arrow. This is the stop end, this is the launcher end. Whenever this receives a redstone signal, it sends the cart in the direction of the arrow. And we want to do the same with this one down here, and of course the same one on the surface. Ding. Turn that around. One thing else, notice how this is facing to my left. You can switch it. We do want it facing to the left because to the right would put us in the smeltery, which would be, let's just say, uncomfortable. Right. So this one, however, we want to send it that way. This locking track we want to send that way. Okay, progress. Now, the redstone of it. This is the tedious part. So the first thing we need to do is get the mechanics laid out. we need to say that each of these buttons sends a pulse to these locking tracks, which launches the cart in the first place. So let's go down here and dig out space for our redstone. We'll probably have this, in fact we'll probably have this right at the bottom, because I can easily cover this with a door. So let's go behind the scenes here. Let me think, yeah, about 5. 5. Lots of coal, very nice. And yeah. Okay, so behind the scenes. Probably need to drop it down one as well, so. It's a beehive. Well, we've already had to mine out a few beehives. One more won't hurt. Let's go get me a box. Come on, box. We want scoop. Awesome. Okay. So, the logic of it. The first thing we want to do is set up our launcher systems. So, the ground floor, we'll start with the top floor. The top floor is going to be pretty easy. It's, well, I say the top floor. In fact, we'll logic. We're going to start with this basement floor because this is going to be the easiest one. The only way we can get to here is if all of these elevator tracks are turned off, which means no redstone signal. And the easiest way to do that, I'm just going to place a few of these down. We're going to place white, or we use grey. We use grey as our ground floor. So this is going to be our call button up here, because it's on the left. So we're going to have grey there. Now we also want grey to be here. And we're going to have blue as our launcher mechanism. You with me so far? There is method to this madness. This go up here and run all the way, and I'll be using a saw to separate these. And we need a repeater right there. It doesn't matter on the tick length, but it does matter that the in is on the white arrow. So now whenever we trigger a white arrow pulse, for example, whoops, wrong one, this button, it will trigger the blue wire as well. So, click. Did you see it flash? Click. Just like that. We want to do the same with the others as well. But we're going to need to split things up. So, I need a saw. You can tell I planned this out. Sort of. Halfway. Maybe. Kinda. Not. So, I'm just going to put my B in there. Wrong B. You can go in there. Let's carve up one of these marble blocks for now. Ding. Micro blocks. Right, you can all go in there. Oh, the logic is so fun. So we're going to separate this one for now, because it makes things nice and easy. And we're also going to have to put one here, because we're going to have to send a we need to decide what colours which. So I'm going to say that this bottom one is going to be orange, and this top one is going to be yellow. Like that. we will need a marble strip here, and we will need our red oil wire to go here, and that will trigger these separately. Now I have made plenty of this bundled cable for a reason, so we're going to drag that across here. Then we're going to go all the way up this side. And we're going to make this as neat as I can. And we're going to follow this pattern all the way up until I get everything set up. And then we're going to set up the mechanics of it here, including all the state cells and what we need. So I'm going to cut for a moment and I'll be right back once I've excavated all the way up to the surface and put in these cables. I'll come back and show you when it's done. Okay guys, we're back. One death, as you can see, and a lot of bundled cable later, and we've actually got the mechanics set up. So I'm going to go up here and show you how this works. So obviously the red alloy wire has to go through, but it can't be touching another insulated wire, because otherwise it will just connect to that instead, and you get all kinds of parallel circuit problems. So we use separators. So we have our bottom right button being the next lowest floor, and the top right button being the furthest floor away, and the button on the left is our cool button. And this repeats, if I jump up here, all the way up. So here's our main floor. This red wire is different. This is our actual effect wire. This is what's going to trigger the elevator rails. We have our cool button, which is this orange. As you can see down there, orange is on the bottom left, cool the next floor. We have cool the ground floor, which is the grey wire, and cool the top floor, which is the yellow wire. And as you can see, it's very difficult, but there's the grey wire down there and the yellow wire there respectively. Again, back up to the top with a lot more of this mixed wire. This stuff's expensive, by the way. I had to make some more in the meantime while we were down, and it's not good. So now this time we've got a blue wire. This blue wire is what we're going to use to pass through all of these floors to get access to the launcher. And you can see I've filled this in now. Let's quickly nip out here. This launcher, and if I was to come down here, you'll see there. That's all it is. So let's fill that back in. Wrong one. Go. And these buttons are all functional as well. So if we nip down here and flip that one, see? Okay. That's this section of the floor done. So I now need to go down and I'll show you how this works. So the first thing we need to do is find the level that we need to adjust, and we'll put a block there for easy access. We're going to cut through is our floor. We're going to actually come round and down, because I want to avoid this. I'd like to keep this in place if possible, but we need to go 1, 2, 3, 4 back and end up here. So let's carve this out. There we go. And this will wrap around and connect up to our bundled cable as well, using the blue wire. So let's fill this back in. Where's our... Okay, well, doesn't matter. Want our dented marble back there. All these cables, I'm getting confused as which is which. I want to bring you all the way back here. And we'll just place another block there for the moment. Like that. Click, click. Bring you round. And I'm going to place another block here for safety, because I've already died once, as I've said. and bring that over. See how it connects? Do not want. And that hooks up the launcher, just like that. We'll fill this in. That can go now. That can go now. And we'll come back down here. Now, we do not need this on the bottom floor because there doesn't need to be a redstone signal on the bottom floor. But now we need the actual cabling itself. So, we need to tell it that when, let's say, a yellow wire is triggered, let's trigger our yellow wire. We want it to... Oh, I've run out of yellow wire. That's annoying. Okay, let's do it the other one first. Let's do it with the orange wire. We don't have enough orange wire either. This is funny. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back again. Sorry about that. I've made a little bit more orange and yellow wire. So we're going to start with the yellow wire. So what we need to do is that when a yellow signal is given, we need to tell it. First thing it needs to do is hold the redstone signal. So we use a state cell. And yellow is going to be our top floor, so it could be quite long. So I'm going to set this to I'm going to set this to 5 seconds for the moment. And we want this yellow signal to output right to the top, which is that purple wire all the way up there. So we grab our purple and put that back in. But we also need to trigger the launcher, which is a blue wire. So we put that there. But this causes a problem. Can anyone spot what the problem is? If we do the same thing back here, and we have another state cell for our orange wire, which will be beyond here. Let's just carve that out for the moment. We end up with the problem of a parallel circuit. That is, if this blue wire is triggered, it will also come out of this blue wire and trigger this state cell. So we'll never be able to get to this middle floor. So how do we solve this problem? The answer is as we did back here. We give it a one-way circuit with these repeaters. It's so simple. Oop, wrong one. Ah, wrong one. Just like that. This second floor is it's a red wire. So that would be here. And then of course we have our orange wire going back here. And there we go. That is all the redstone circuitry we need. Isn't it pretty? All the lovely colours. This one we're going to set to, yeah, we'll leave that to 2 seconds for the moment. So, I think that's solid, but now we have to test it. Here's our minecart. So let's say we want to go to the second floor. It'll be this button. We'll click, and nothing happens. Reason being is because this has no connector. This is not going to be launched, so I'm going to break this. So that was totally not intentional. That was a derp on my part. So we're going to come around here and pray that I have enough blue wire. Yeah, of course I don't have enough blue wire. We'll use some of this for now. Ding. You're going to come in here. Bring you. In fact, we'll bring you down and then around. Okay, that comes down here. Blue. And although that connection looks strange, that should function normally. So let's try again. Clear these out. Let's go to our second floor. Whoa. Hey, how about that? Let's go to our top floor. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's pretty good. Let's send you back down to the ground floor again. Going all the way. It does. And let's try the call button. Ah. That one. So I got my circuitry mixed around here, but that's not too bad. There's our cart. And we want to go down to the ground floor. Whoa. How is that? I'm going to call that done. So, once again, Paul will still be annoyed at me for breaking all of his stuff. There's going to be a runic altar in here. Do you like what we've done with the place? Nice walls, nice ceilings. It's not finished yet because he's a lazy bastard and hasn't actually quite put all the blocks in, but he's working on it. He's working on it. Let's go up to our main floor. Thinking yours. And we're good. It's all working. I just need to put the signs down and label these. Do I have signs somewhere? I do. Go me. So, let's see. So, how do I put this? That's our call button. Let's move across. In fact, we'll continue on the same line. And this will be surface. Oh, I'm not used to these. In fact, we'll go back. Where's a little arrow? I don't have arrows. There we go. And we'll move across. Oh. No, don't like that. There we go. Doesn't allow all the spaces. So I'll continue doing that for these. So let's go back to the surface. Nice. And we need signs here. So this will be so call is on the right. This will be our, I guess this will be the ground floor. It is, because I've mixed the cables up. Okay, so at least they're in order. It'd be ground, sorry, ground. So, basement, oh no, sub 2. And then all over here we want cool. No real way to format this properly, is there? So let's drop down the line. Making this look pretty is hard. 1, 2. And then in the middle we want sub 1. There we go. That should be Paula proof. Should be. So sub 1. I've totally gotten them the wrong way around, haven't I? So this should be sub 1. Ah, now that's interesting. I think what that is that I don't have enough duration on signal for sub 1. So that's this one. Let's amp that up by 3 seconds. Let's come back out. Let's go back to the surface. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's close going up to the top, but sub 1 should be 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's our problem. It's just not long enough. So we'll up this to 4 as well. Try again. Getting these timings right is just tedious, but it should be working now. There we go. Just. That's right on the money. And there we go. I think that's a good build. We are complete, and everything seems to be functional. I'm just going to put these pieces back in. Oh, there's force of habit. I just fell down the ladder. Okay, let's give us a call. Let's head back to the surface. Whee! Awesome! Okay guys, I hope you appreciated that. I hope you liked the build, and I hope it serves us well for many, many days to come. Thank you for watching. If you've liked this video, please leave a like. If you've disliked this video, please leave a dislike. Tell me what I'm doing wrong, help me improve. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good day, folks.